Alright, moving on to the back. I'm trying to blast through this, so I'm not recording much, but to get the air spring out, I jacked it up. I put my jack stand here. I've got my jack ready to push everything back up when I'm ready, but it's probably going to be tomorrow before I get around to putting this back together. But I went ahead and first things first, I cracked the bottom of the sway bar loose, so that way I can get this lowered down and get the spring out. Then I reach back, pop the clip out of there, same thing on the front, you twist it once, and then it'll come down, all the air will rush out, and you twist it a little bit more and it'll pop out. And then you just kind of squish it and bring it up out of there. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. First thing, before you can get that out of there, you can get it free, it's just not enough for me to get it out, because this hasn't dropped all the way. You need to crawl in the trunk, pull the carpet away. There's two 13mm studs sticking through for the top of the shock absorber. Drop that down, and then it'll give you all the room you need to get that air spring out. And then take that bottom of the shock mount out. It's an 18mm. Spin her out. It's got a captured nut on the backside. A little tab so we don't have to put a wrench on it. And that comes right out. But I'm going ahead and doing a knuckle or a hub swap back here for Cobra hub and rotor. So I got a little bit more work ahead of me, especially because I threw some PV blaster penetrator on it, but man, that thing is rough. But the threads are rough. It's got a lot of rust there. I'm gonna catch hell getting that out. I'll probably wait till tomorrow so I can use the loud tools. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw the spring and shock in there. All right, back at it. Finally got the axle nut off. It's 35mm. Had to use my trusty dusty impact gun. Got the shock off. Got the brake caliper and the brake caliper mounting bracket off. Had to use a little bit of heat because it had some Loctite on it. I imagine these are probably gonna have Loctite on them too. I'm gonna have to heat those up, but throw a little bit of heat on the aluminum part and they'll probably yank right out. So what I'm gonna do next, last time I did this, I pulled the whole knuckle out and then I caught hell trying to get this to hold still while I took the dust shield off. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the dust shield off while it's here and I got something holding it for me. And then I'll take the knuckle out and get to pressing these bearings out and I can press the new ones in. All right, so heat shield is off. There's just 3 15mm bolts. They came off pretty easy. Did have to heat one of them up, but other than that, pretty easy. Now we're gonna finish taking this knuckle off. It's I'm not sure what millimeter size it is, but I got a 15/16 on there and it fits just fine. It doesn't fit that one, but it fits the two bottom ones. And then the Torx bit is a T50. I'm gonna run these two bottom ones out and then I'm gonna figure out what size that is up there. Looks like a 21 maybe. All right, little update. Yeah, so got the knuckle out, but not the easy way. Yeah, so I ended up having to take the CV axle out with it because it's seized in here. Last one I did was also seized in there and it took a lot of effort to get it out. This one I beat on with a sledgehammer a few times. I tried an air hammer. I tried crowbar. I gave up. I figured it was going to be a pain in the ass. So I, obviously Ford, in their infinite wisdom, put this super huge round head stud underneath of it that won't pass the CV axle. So I had to clearance it. I did little swipes and then realized, you know what, I have to cut it drastically to get it out. So good thing I had a spare bolt, so I'll be able to replace this one. I don't think it would be reusable. It may get you by if you need it, but I wouldn't reuse it. So yeah, now I'm going to dismantle the CV axle that I can fit in my press, and I'm going to attempt to press the axle out of the knuckle, or out of the hub, and we'll see where we get there. Hopefully I can reuse the CV axle, because I did not order another one. So be forewarned, if you're about to tackle this job yourself, you might as well, it's in your best interest probably to go ahead and just order some new CV axles and wait for them to show up before you start, because now I'm stuck. I go on a work trip for a few months here in a couple days, so I don't have time to order one. I want to get this car back together before I leave. So now I'm stuck trying to reuse this axle. I should have just fucking bought one from day one and swapped it as I went. So that's what I get for trying to be cheap. All right, update. It's been a couple days since I could actually work on this, so it's not raining today, so that's a plus. I ordered a new CV axle since I don't know, it's like every third axle that I have to pull out of one of these cars is like completely seized in this old knuckle, and to the point where I have to like I can't fit it in my press, so I gotta set up like some weird system of blocks and rocks and whatnot to get it spaced up. And then I beat the thing out with a sledgehammer, completely ruining all the threads. I could put the casting back on it all I want, but the second I start beating out the hammer with the force that's required to remove it, it destroys the threads, and the CV axle is completely unusable by the time I'm done. So I had to order a new set. As I'm putting this one back together, I'm going to put some never sees on it. I'm sure some people bitch about that, say that's the wrong thing to use, but I mean, I've removed a couple of these. I think only 1 or 2 of them have ever come out without any fight. The rest of them have been sledgehammer rooting them. So I think never sees might be a step that would, maybe help. But yeah, so I'm about to go ahead and throw this new, got my new Cobra hub installed in the old knuckle. I'll make a quick video of doing the passenger side. I didn't make a video of this one because I was so enraged I didn't want to waste any time with my camera. Yeah, one thing to note, be sure if you do have washers, figure out where they came from and put them back in there. It's definitely some kind of a shim for alignment purposes. But yeah, I'll throw this back together now. Alright, so in other news, the little locating pins they put on here is like super fucking long, and it goes up and touches the bottom of the floor pan and doesn't actually seat that little fucking bracket, meaning I'm gonna have to go either I can take this out and like grind that down, or I can go through the Alright, so I decided against that. I'm just gonna fight this sucker back out, throw a drill bit through the bottom wherever the scratch marks are from that stud sticking through, and drill it from the bottom up. That did a trick. Drilled a hole through it, popped right on through. Let me see if I can get a light behind it. Yep, that's the way to do it. I'll go ahead and do that preemptively on the other side, that way I don't waste my time. Now I get to throw it all back together finally. Another little update. Knuckles all back together. Ford specs these to be torqued, I think it said 110 to 150. I think it's 110 to 140. Anyways, I went in the middle-ish. I went 120 on all 3. This one, of course, is torqued to 250. I ordered these nice new ones, full tilt boogies, where I got the Cobra hub from. They also had a brand new nut. Figured this would be good quality, but it doesn't fit the threads of the new CV axle. Maybe the thread on the Cobra axle is different, or maybe it's just this brand of CV axle I ordered. But that was a bust, so don't waste your money and order those. Just use the ones that come with your new CV axles instead. See what else. Don't forget to put the sway bar on. Don't forget to put your dust shield on before you start throwing your brakes and everything back on, because that would be unfortunate. Got the shock absorber in. That was really fun, crawling in the trunk of the car to reach. But that's all done. Springs all in. Now I just need to, I'm pretty sure I got clearance this one. I definitely had, the last one I did, I had to clearance the top of the brake caliper mount bracket, just up here. So what I did was I put the new rotor, the Cobra rotor on, bolted this in place where it needed to be, and then marked where it was interfering, and I just kept taking it off and putting it back on, hitting it with the grinder right up in here. I'll show that in a little bit more detail. That's where we're at so far. The caliper relocator brackets that I ordered, I got them from, let's see, Super Coops Unlimited Incorporated at email or at gmail.com. This is the way to get a hold of the guy if you want to set. Just email him. He'll request. I think it's 130 bucks now, but it comes with both sides and the amount of hardware needed. Nice billet pieces here. Did a pretty good job. Obviously you got a threaded side and a non-threaded side. You have to trim this little lip off here in order to get it flat for this to set on it and get your bolt holes lined up. And once that's done, bolt your new caliper to that bad boy, like and it'll give you the correct spacing and offset to run the Cobra rotors. Like I said, here's the kit. It comes with all the bolts, all the hardware you need to mount it on both sides. So, not a bad deal. I'm gonna get this guy cleaned up a little bit. These slides are looking pretty janky, but I get that cleaned up, get this ground off, and then put the bracket on there and start notching the caliper bracket to fit the rotor. All right, so I got the clearancing done. Took a little bit more than I wanted to off of the left side of these brackets. I got my angle was wrong is what I did. I was like, I eyeballed it and I said, oh yeah, that's about the angle it needs to be. Took a little bit too much off of this left corner here, but I mean, for what it's worth, it fits fine. There's plenty of backing there still. I'll throw some blue Loctite on it, torque it down, and then we'll slap the caliper on, test it on the rotor, see how it looks. Guess I need to point out that I had to clearance both sides, and not only had to take some off of this one, I also had to take some off of that corner there. Alright, another little update. So, had to clearance the bottom of the caliper mounting bracket to clear the bolt heads. I just there's a point on it, I pretty much just made the point flat, and they fit just fine. So I got those right in there tight now, but as you can see, there's like no gap right there. I mean, it's minuscule, if there is one. I think it's touching actually. Camera doesn't look as close as it actually is in person, but we're touching, so I need to take a grinder and hit that guy a little bit. It's gonna be the same on both ends. Well, this one actually looks like it has a little bit of a gap, but not enough. Needs to be clearanced. Especially as things heat up and they expand. It'd be rubbing in no time if it didn't. This side's fine, it's just that end gap. Same on this end's fine. Just need to take a little bit off of each edge right here. All right, so like I said, you really don't have to grind too much off. You don't have to grind the whole pad, the whole flat pad here. You just gotta do kind of this edge where it tapers off too fast. And if you can see here, a little bit of grinding, I got plenty of clearance now. And same on this side. I'm gonna pull it off there and show you just how little I hit it with the grinder. Here we go. Now you can see, I just took the points off, made these flat. And then on this corner here, I just took the grinder and just went across like that. You can see the pattern that I did. Didn't really have to go into the edges too much. Just had to open it up because, like I said, it's got plenty of clearance right here on this side, but it tapers off too fast to fit the new rotor. So you just gotta take that taper out and it's good to go. grinder out. Doesn't have to be pretty, just needs to fit. It's not as ready to go in there. I had to run a tap through these holes because they were a little bit screwy. All the years of rust and thread locker in them. It's a 1.7. It's a M12 by 1.75 thread. If you need to go ahead and prepare and get a tap for it, if you're watching this video to figure out what you need to do. But yeah, it's the only way I can get my Allen bolts all the way through. I guess I never said, but I torqued these down to 70, the ones that hold the caliper adapter bracket here. I torqued those to 70 foot-pounds. I'm going to email the guy that made them, because I actually never got a torque specification from him. And as I was torquing these down, I was really worried they're going to strip, but 70 so far seems to be okay. Alright, so got the rotor, caliper, all that on. Something that I didn't have to do last time that I had to do this time is had to clearance the e-brake cable a little bit. Let me see if I can get a picture. It's still, I mean, I should have went a little bit more, but it slides. The caliper will move in and out, but yeah, that I couldn't even get it bolted in place before I shaved a little bit off. It's still, I don't think that I got too much into it. I don't have any fears that it's gonna come apart on me when I use it. But yeah, gotta clearance it. So another thing you guys need to be prepared for when doing the swap. So I didn't realize that the studs on the full tilt boogie hub were so fucking long. So I ordered both some extra long, like 2-inch lug nuts. But I mean, honestly, I think them 2-inch might even be too short on that. So I got some open-ended ones too. I'm waiting on those to come in the mail. They should be here tomorrow. But I'll try them out and report back my findings. But as of right now, I got the only open-end one I have, and then an inch. It was an inch and a third or something like that, whatever size these standard ones are. And it doesn't reach for shit. It's got a good quarter, half an inch gap. Doesn't actually go all the way back to the rim. So yeah, add that to your list of parts. Alright, working on the passenger side here. Obviously, tires off. I went ahead and took the axle nut out before I did anything else because I had all that pressure holding it in place. Sheet seasoned there pretty good too. I use a pry bar to try to move it. It's not bad. It's not budging, like, not at all. I already beat it on a couple times with a sledgehammer to try and break it loose preemptively. But more than likely, I'm gonna take the whole fucking thing out and set it up on my rocks and beat it out the sledgehammer. Maybe I'll take a video of that this time because it's pretty funny looking. But that's come to be the norm of these cars. I think there's a T-Bird that I took apart that one of them actually came out really easy. The other one I had to beat out. Every other one has just been this way. So if you're planning on doing this hub swap and whatnot, go ahead and just buy new axles because you're gonna need them. You're gonna ruin these getting them out. It's inevitable. Prepare for it. Brake calipers off. Yeah, hanging up here. Honestly, like on the driver's side, the biggest pain in the ass was the brake caliper. It just kept falling in the way. There's nowhere for me to really hang it up. My zip ties are crap and they kept breaking. It's just always in the way. Maybe I'll zip tie it up here this time. Well, because I'm gonna be on my way taking the airbag out, so there's just no place to put it. It's just a pain in the ass. I'll go ahead and pull the caliper bracket off, and then I'll get started taking all the knuckle bolts out. I already took the sway bar loose. And it's crusty. Probably should have replaced this too. So if you're watching this, it's probably in your best interest to go ahead and get sway bar link for the back as well. I should have, but it's too late now. I need to get this out of my driveway. So yeah, I'm gonna take this knuckle out, take that shock out, take the air spring out. These are actually really good in the back still. They're still full of air, and it's been probably a week since I ran this car. Oh well, fronts were bad. I'm not undoing it. Yeah, I'll update you as I can, but I'm gonna take less videos just so I can get this car done and get it out of my driveway. All right, so Yeah, can't get the CV axle out. I've beat on it with hammers. I tried like increasing the angles I was gonna outsmart it and like be able to wiggle it. It's still stuck, won't come out. So instead of ruining the bolt this time, I know the CV axle's junk and I won't be able to reuse it. I'm gonna take an angle grinder and grind a flat spot here. And I'm just gonna take as much meat out of here as possible and twist it around and see if I can get the bolt to come out with the recess that I made. It's the plan, see how it goes. All right, so a little update. I usually kind of, spread these 3 prongs out across these, and I use a 4x4 from the bottom, from this guy up, and then it gives me enough room to I can swing a sledgehammer and knock the CV axle out of this hub here. This time though, like I whacked it one time with a sledgehammer, and the whole CV axle, like the shaft splines came out of the I don't know, carrier bearing, whatever you want to call it in there. Just crazy. Like, it made it a lot easier. Now I can fit this whole thing in my press and press it out. What's funny is, like, the last one I tried to do the same thing, but I pulled the boot off and tried to take the snap ring out and slide it out, and it was fused. I couldn't get it to come apart. This one I did none of that. I mean, the snap ring's still in there and it just fell apart. So yeah, that's fine, I guess. But you can see like the amount of material I had to take out just to get that bolt to squeeze by it. Would it be easier? It would, for sure would have been easier just to trim the bolt down to fit past it, but I didn't have another bolt, so that's what I had to trim. And then that one hit with the sledgehammer got it. It's starting to come out. But now that I can fit in the press, I'm just gonna go ahead and press it the rest of the way out. And then I'll make a video of pressing the hub and the bearing out and putting the new one in. And put this bad boy back together. Hopefully get it out in the driveway tonight. Finally got the CV axle chunk pressed out of there. It was a pain in the dick. I had to put a lot of pressure on it, and it was actually so much it started blowing the bearing out the back. I'm telling you, man, them things are seized in there half the time. So now you gotta press the Mark 8 hub out. Nothing special, you just need to find a way to block this up. I usually use both these pieces of steel here. I'll usually flip them over to like the small V groove. This is just a Harbor Freight press. Maybe $200 or something like that. I'm pretty sure I bought it used. I don't remember though, it's been so long. But, I mean, I've never had an issue out of it, knock on wood. But yeah, like I said, I'll flip this over. I'll get the V notch up. I think I usually use like this arm and one of these to hold it. And that's all you need. I'll use a socket that just barely fits over this. Press it all the way through. Usually doesn't take much. And then after that's done, there's a snap ring in here. While you're doing that, it should push the bearings towards the other end and get the snap ring loose. If not, you may have to take, I usually use one of the old bearing races. But I'll put some pressure on that and push the bearing away from the snap ring. That way it comes out easier. There's a snap ring buried in here. Can't really see it right now because of lighting, but once I get that hub out, I'll clean it up a little bit and show it better. But that snap ring is a pain in the ass. I usually just use a pair of needle nose pliers and squeeze out. I'll set up this phone and try and record it, but it takes some doing, but it's not impossible. Like I said, doesn't take much to get this one out of there. This is precarious and it's not ideal setup at all, especially not having it on those ears, but like I said, it doesn't take much to press this one out, so getting it set up just like this, we'll get it out. It'll eventually fall apart, I'm sure, but as of right now it's working. I'm doing what I can with what I got. Press here. Come on, there we go. Nice. Had just enough. All right. Alright, clean it up a little bit. I did all this just with some simple green, some water, and a nylon brush. You can see that. There's your snap ring here. Hope this is an omen of things to come, but this has been the easiest snap ring to remove out of one of these. Usually work at it for a couple minutes, but you know what I mean, I just use regular needle nose pliers. Get in those little grooves, pinch it, out you come. So now snap ring's out. Now this bearing needs to be pushed from the front out. I'm gonna go back over to my little press and set it up all precarious again. Usually I just kind of turn it. I'll show you. All right, so current setup. This one sticks down a little bit further than these two do, so I space it up with a wrench and an old fish plate I haven't used. It's a 39mm socket, and yeah, I'm gonna start pressing. All right, so I've been cranking for a little bit. She finally started going. Nice. See how she looks. Nothing broken. And clean that up with some star fluid. Put some axle grease in there, and press the new guy in. All right, so I got my new bearing from Full Tilt Boogie. Came with the Cobra hub. I got some Mobile One synthetic grease. Just gonna throw a little bit in here. I'm gonna throw a little bit on the bearing, and then I'm gonna press that sucker in. And that's important. When you're putting it in, you can't be all precarious and crooked. You gotta put it, you gotta set it up flat and straight, so that way it goes in flat and straight. I'll show you here in a second how I've set it up. Alright, show you what we got going on here. Here's the old bearing, and here's the two washers that I got off of the front strut rod. Yeah, strut rod. These are the big washers there at the end. You have to grind the lip off of to make them work. And yeah, I'm going to use those to press that bearing into that bearing and into the recess here. There's like a little extra recess up here at the top that this one will be able to push that one all the way in and sit in it before it actually starts getting stuck in there, so we'll be good there. Alright, so that bearing came right out. So now you put your snap ring back in, set this back up in here, and press your new hub through. Alright, snap ring is in. This is my Full Tilt Boogie Cobra hub. Okay, you can see. And they put these long ass studs on here. It's crazy. But I'm gonna throw a little bit of grease here. And then we'll take it back over to the press and press this one in. On the bright side, this presses in pretty easy. Just one thing to remember is when you're pressing this guy in, you need to put something under here to support this. As a matter of fact, what I usually do is use a socket or the old bearing race, and just this doesn't touch anything. The whole system is supported by this. So when I say push this guy in, there's not a chance that this is going to push out, because it will. Current setup. Had to drop the level of the little I-beam C-channel, whatever you want to call it here, because I didn't have enough clearance. What I had to do is space this up so that way these will clear and float. I used 2 of the old bearings, and I used an old bearing race. And there's a flat washer that's perfectly centered between the snap ring there and against the other bearing. Then I have a new hub, 2 sockets to space it, so that way the arm here doesn't hit the studs first, because it would. Give it a go. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Now with this, you just go until it stops, and give it a little bit of pressure to move it off. You don't want to screw the bearings up, put too much load on them. But the way Full Tilt Boogie said in their video was, press it till it bottoms out, and then give it one more, and she's done. Alright, that's her. Give her a look, see what we got. Looks good. So it's going to have some drag. Yeah, it's definitely got some drag, I'll tell you that. But it's not impossible. So you see it's not even twisted on the floor here. Definitely got enough drag that I feel it. It feels smooth. And then when you torque that wheel nut down to 250 foot-pounds, that puts the rest of the preload on those bearings. Let's get her in there. All right, fast forward a couple minutes. Got everything thrown in here. Got the new spring, new CV axle all in there. Got my hoses and whatnot zip tied up. New shock in. And you start tightening all this stuff up and torquing it down. Torque spec on that is like, I think it was 110. All right, fast forward a little bit. I went ahead and torqued all these down. These ones call for, I think it said 110 to 140, so I just put them at like 125. All 3 of them are the same torque. Dust shields on. One thing I want to point out is, since I already kind of knew what the, you know, how much I had to take off each of these ears, I went ahead and did this before I put it in. I had this sitting on the bench and I took the grinder to it, and it was so much easier to do that. So I highly recommend, if you're watching this all the way through, before you do it, when your knuckles are out, put these things together on the bench, because you can bolt this all together without having the brake caliper there, or the brake rotor. You can clearance these to get the bolts in. Then you can throw the caliper bracket on it too. Clearance the caliper bracket, bolt it all together on the bench, get that cut, and then put it together. Much easier that way. I already did the caliper bracket because I knew just about, you know, how much I need to take out. So I went ahead and did that too. Now I'm just slapping it all together. This is it, all said and done. Not really a fan of these wheels anymore. I thought they would look good before I put them on it, but I'm eventually gonna get new wheels for the Cobra, and then I'll just throw the Cobra wheels onto here probably. It's a little bit higher than I expected it to be, but yeah, not so bad. Still need to get it aligned, and then you need to get new tires for these wheels, because these are all pretty old. If you don't want to deal with the hassle of you know, the relocator bracket and grinding the caliper and all that stuff, you don't actually have to do that. If you got, because I mean, this is stock Mark 8 brake caliper, so if you just got a Mark 8 rotor and drill the holes out to 5 on 4.5, then you'd be fine. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to run the one that's already drilled for the 5 on 4.5. So I got the Mustang Cobra rotor. that's why I need the relocation bracket. But if you don't want to do all that, get you a regular rotor and just drill it out